thank you. We're ready to resume. So at this point, I would encourage you just take your seat at the table where you were as we go into the next phase of the Diversity Summit. I can only begin to speak about the next phase of the summit by way of suggesting that you take a moment and prepare yourself to be entertained. What you're about to experience is just that, an experience. And I guess what I'd like to do is to introduce you to Hands Up. And Hands Up was originally written and performed by Colleen Sinnette Jennings, with music composed and performed by Jody Better. And today we have Brian Casey on double bass and Tia Trent. And what you're about to experience was directed by Alphonse Keasley. But I present to you now Brian, Tia, Hands Up.
He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. People don't sing that song much today. Is it because his hand sounds odd to say, since we call on Father, Mother, God when we pray? Or is the world too slippery for our hands? Has it slipped away? I don't sing that song much because I don't know what to do with my hands. My hands have forgotten their story, their agency, their glory. Their magnificent days held high above my head in praise. Almighty Oba, first wife of Shango. Almighty Oshun, Orisha of love and beauty. Almighty Imaja, mother goddess of women. To African goddesses, I sang my respect. I danced head high, body erect, to the beat of dark feet on the red earth of our youth. I danced our freedom, our love, and our truth. My hands swept and my hands gathered, harvesting what grew and mattered. Hands that clapped and hands that pounded. Hands over my ears as the rifle sounded. Hands up, we surrendered, or we felt the whip's pain. Hands up, we surrendered, thrown together, hands chained. I resisted enslavement, and oh, how I strived to break the chains, to run, to keep myself alive. Olakan, great Orisha of old, patron of all the ancient soul. Olakan, my parched lips cried. My hands were bloodied. My soul had died. Heart clenched in fear. My spirit was caged. On a ship's deck, packed like cargo, we watched. as Africa disappeared. My hands covered my nakedness on the auction block, hands tied and crossed above my head for punishment, hands toughened and pricked by picking cotton, hands that held and nursed and soothed my master's children, hands that stitched freedom quilts and hung them high on a clothesline to send a runaway's message. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. I was not content in servitude. Hands that held Harriet Tubman's rifle. Hands that penned Phyllis Wheatley's verses. Hands that ran Ida B. Wells' printing press. Hands that baked pies to save Mary McLeod Bethune's school. Hands that sassed up the Charleston and pounded gospel and tickled boogie woogie on piano keys. Hands that wrote Nora Zill's manuscript. Maid's hands, stiff and bruised with pain. Hands that flew Bessie Coleman's plane. Busy, busy hands filled with yearning, learning to slowly reach across race, to slowly, so slowly touch and embrace. Willing hands of white, yellow, brown, and red, whose palms reached out, fingers spread. We clasped those hands across our chest and sang from one collected breast. Deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. Angela Davis's hand in clenched fist held high. Fannie Lou Hamer's finger pointed at the lie. Mae Jemison's hands on a spaceship's control. Beyonce's hand waving to man in her band of gold. If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. Hallie's clutched her Oscar. Serena's her racket. B. Smith took an egg to a bowl edge and cracked it. Michelle Obama, fist bumps and high five. Hallelujah, we said. These hands show we have arrived. Our post-racial hands laid there idle, sans care. Soft, manicured hands stroked our long, store-bought hair. Our hands held our iPhones, sent emails and texts, so our hands went aflutter by what happened next. When young Michael Brown, hands empty, hands bare, was shot dead in the street and just left to lay there. Now we've all been caught red-handed with our hands in the cookie jar, safe in our brick houses, slick in our smart cars, drunk off the illusion that we've come so very far. We've been blinded by trinkets and drugged by the lies. Now an unarmed kid shot and we're stunned and surprised. Now an unarmed kid shot and every one of us dies. Do we fight? Do we cower? Take a stand or just run? Now our hands feel so empty without a knife or a gun, our mace or a Molotov, or a taser to stun. Because after 400 years, we are back to square one. And our hands we thought filled with all our fine victories now turn palms out above us, begging, please don't shoot us. Please. If the system's still broken, is this plea a mere token of a rage yet unspoken for the justice we lack? Is it defense or attack when we chant, fist up, fight back? Fist up, fight back. It's all in our hands. All we can and cannot handle. It's all in our hands. What to do with our hands.
Thank you for a great round of applause for Brian Casey, Professor, and Tia Trent. Thank you so very much for that performance.